Hello, welcome to a Pittsburgh Steelers 2020 NFL Draft is in the books. Now, I am coming to you from the humble confines of my son's bedroom, as that was the only place I was able to do a live stream. The only place where I could avoid Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and I was actually going to do it on my porch, but my neighbors started, having a whole, I don't know what they were doing out on their porch. But anyway, we sorted out all the kinks. We are now live. Steelers fan reaction to the 2020 draft. How do you feel about it? Do you feel great about it? This is the first Steelers draft that I did not get any picks right in my mock draft. I was holding a solid streak for 2 years of having at least two players in my mock draft where I knew exactly, I either picked a player, maybe not in the same round, but no players that were on my mock draft were actually selected by the Steelers this year. Certainly not the most wishful thinking mock draft available. You're right, Todd. I do need a haircut. It's long overdue, as you can see. I mean, it is really getting something here. The barbers are unavailable. So yeah, how do you feel about this mock draft? Do you feel as warm and fuzzy about it? Personally, for me, it's a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. Mock drafts are kind of designed to make you fall in love with certain players, and then you pick these players. You decide whether these players are somebody that's going to fit on the Steelers or people you want to see in the Steelers uniform. And usually what happens is that the Ravens end up picking all the players from the Steelers mock draft. It happened last year. It certainly happened this year. The Steelers pick their guys. They have their guys. This happened early in the draft. Really almost the entire draft process. Steelers got on the clock. The pick was in almost immediately. Maybe not with the later picks. Maybe they were, kind of maybe negotiating something, maybe a trade up or a trade down. But for the first few picks of the draft, that card was in immediately. They didn't waste a second. So the first, I'd like to take Jalen Hurts to back up Ben. Look, I agree with getting rid of Rudolph or Hodges. Rudolph was a third-round pick. You kind of want to see, it was a bad year for Rudolph. I went into other videos about this, where Rudolph, I think after the Earl Thomas hit, I really think he was gun-shy back there. I don't think he was the same player after that hit. I think he was a little fearful, made some rough decisions. I wouldn't necessarily want to get rid of Rudolph. As for Hodges, even though I thought Hodges had the better play last year of the two quarterbacks, I don't want to see Duck Hodges throw another pass for the Steelers. Because if that's the case, that means Ben's hurt and Rudolph is hurt. And we saw how that shook out last year. He won some games. Down the stretch, he was not great. The last few games, not good. So I don't know if Hurts would have been the right call, at least for me. I think the Eagles went a little bit too high for Hurts. I would have, if Hurts was available with one of the fourth-round picks, I'd put a lottery ticket out there on him. But, I don't necessarily, if they seem to be comfortable with the quarterbacks they have in-house. We're not necessarily comfortable with the quarterbacks they have in-house. So, yeah, when it comes to Steelers, round 2, Chase Claypool, pick number 49. I like the pick. He brings something to the wide receiver room that no other receiver in that room has. That's size. I mean, he is a wide receiver / tight end, and he's a big target for Ben. You wonder whether they, every year it seems Ben would ask for, give me this big receiver. It became a running joke at times, and they've tried a couple times. They tried with Plexico Burress, and that lasted a few years and had some good results. They tried with Martavis Bryant, and that lasted a few years and had some good results, but they never had that tried and true guy that was going to be there. Now, the concern with Claypool, and I don't know if it's necessarily, I know a lot of people are reading into this. They say that means the end of Juju. That means that's it for Juju. This Claypool pick alone means that that's it for Juju. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think they could sign Juju to a long-term deal while still keeping Claypool here. It's not a bad thing. You know, you could say, like, who's going to be off the field on 3 receiver sets? You got to pick one. Juju, Claypool, Deontay Johnson, James Washington. Washington showed the goods last year. Deontay Johnson led the all rookies in receptions. Juju is arguably your top guy right now. Claypool's the new guy, second round pick, highly touted. Who's going to be off the field during those 3 receiver sets? That's a good problem to have. You want that many good receivers. You want that many good receivers. So I have no problem with it. No problem with the pick. I think he's going to be dynamite. Now, let's take the other side of the coin. Dobbins was there. Dobbins has now gone to the Ravens. We're going to find out whether Dobbins was the right call. We're going to find out. Either he's going to torch us for years to come as a Raven, or he's going to be a bust. Now, the thing about these Ravens drafts is they always look good. They always look good. Happened last year. They look so good. They got Justice Hill and they got Miles Boykin. They're going to make this big impact. But truth be told, did they really make a big impact? Now, those were later round picks for them. And they did have a 14-2 record. They won the division. So good on them. But did it really have the... Okay, let's see. Wait, Juju was inconsistent, injury prone last year. We can't say healthy this year. For sure the number one. Okay. Yes, he was. He had some injuries. He also has key fumbles at terrible times. Terrible times. Happened in the Saints game 2 years ago. Happened this year. I can't even remember what game, but cost him the game. So twice now, he's had a fumble that cost him the game. Unfortunately. So there are concerns with Juju. There are legitimate concerns. I feel that he's still the number one guy. I don't think that... I think you could sign him to long term. I think he's that good. See, in the first 2 years with Juju, he has been... he's put up all-time numbers. And you could say that was the benefit of having Antonio Brown there, and that's the benefit of having a healthy Ben, because last year he was inconsistent. But he was inconsistent because the quarterback game was inconsistent as well. Rudolph was having his struggles. Duck, definitely down the stretch, was having his struggles. Plus, Duck can't make all the throws. Duck, for the first couple games, was a game manager. Now, he makes a couple dazzling throws in that Cincinnati game, changes the game and wins it. But he's not Ben. Rudolph's not Ben. Rudolph is probably not the future that we all hoped he would be as a third-round pick that they had a first-round grade on. But time will tell. So, the question is Juju, as far as money-wise, because he's gonna command some money. And you got contracts with Watt coming up. You have contracts with Mika Fitzpatrick coming up. I mean, in the next couple years, you have to decide. Is Hayden gonna stay beyond this year? There's a lot of decisions. Is Ben? How long's the shelf life for Ben, for example? Is he gonna be one that's gonna be here for years to come? How many years? 1, 2, 2 at most, 3. Hard to say. Plus, he is a $40 million this year. He's eating up the cap. So they can't add on a ton of players and a ton of contracts when Ben's taking a large portion of it. So that's the pick. Claypool, I like the pick myself. I think he's going to bring the goods. Now, let's go on to the third round. They take edge rusher Alex Highsmith from Charlotte. I'm not even sure that's a real college. It's a very small school. There are some upsides to this guy. The concern anytime you take someone from a small school is most of their games are against small school talent. If you're flashy against small school talent, that's great. But when you're facing the top guys in the league, when you're lining up against some guy from Division II, whatever state, college, whatever middle of nowhere college versus, David Bakhtiari from Green Bay, who's one of the top left tackles in the league, or like a Joe Staley, that's a different level of competition. So this guy is a bit small, shows some flashes. Now there's a little 2-minute clip you can find on Twitter. It's Brian Baldinger does a breakdown on this guy. Lovely breakdown. Lovely breakdown. He basically says he tested better than Yannick Ngakoue from Jacksonville. Basically tested better in every test, every combine test. This dude tested better. He's saying he got the goods to be a multi-sack guy in the league. A 10-sack guy for years to come. Double digits. He's that high on them. So that changed my opinion slightly of that, because obviously this dude coming from a small school, I don't know anything about him. I don't remember seeing him in any mock drafts. I don't remember seeing any combine workouts or anything. But this guy, they're saying if he gets a little bulky, he has the tools to be a potent NFL starter. On the other coin, small school guy may not be someone that is going to be is not going to be there for the long term. Juju didn't seem much of a splash land. In other words, class doesn't appear to be a win. It's like a 3 year. So, yeah, as far as the hunting for, they're hoping that these guys are coming in and they're going to be, they're going to contribute. But I guess that's the other thing. When I put out a wishful thinking mock draft, my idea is the idea that most Steeler fans have, where they think Ben's window is closing. We need contributors right now on offense and defense to win one more ring while Ben's still in the building. This draft, to me, and you could have your own opinions as well, is not the draft where they got acquired a lot of lockdown starters that are going to contribute right away. In fact, most of these people will not. Most of these people are going to start out as backups. I don't think any of these players they selected today are a plug and play starter. Now, I've been wrong before. I'm no expert, but if it's something where like Claypool probably has the best chance to be a starter, Highsmith is going to back up Bud and TJ Watt, but Highsmith may not even be that second starter that comes in, because I know a lot of people groaned when they drafted Highsmith. They said, oh, what's the point on that? The guy's a backup. It's like, do you remember how many times Chickalo was on the field last year? A lot. I remember this because of the times he got either beat, got knocked off the ball, got blocked, got, barely ever made a sack, was a liability in coverage. I remember Chickalo on the field a lot. If you're telling me this Highsmith can actually do something from the backup position, which was readily used, I'm all for it. I would be just fine with Alex Highsmith actually getting a few starts. Okay, my favorite pick is them taking McFarland back up Connor because we know he's injury prone too. Okay, now let me get into that. Let's get into that. So yeah, then they picked up. Look, Fitzpatrick. Let's put it this way: Micah Fitzpatrick, is the crown jewel of this draft. Micah Fitzpatrick's the crown jewel of this draft. He did not get drafted this year, but we used our first round pick on him, and he's already shown more than any other 2020 draft pick has so far, because he's already played for 2 years. But he has shown he's legit. So I'm fine with Micah Fitzpatrick as our first round pick. He's shown better than you. I can't remember what Miami took at 18 in his place. Was it like an offensive tackle or something? I'm fine with Micah. I am just fine with Micah. So I'm good with that pick. Now, let's get into the fourth round that happened today. Anthony McFarland Jr., Maryland. Here's my concerns with that. I trust the Steelers' ability to draft a wide receiver. They've proven they're far more right than they are wrong. They've proven it time and time again. For every Marcus Wheaton, and that was a miss of a pick. For every Lima Swede, and that was a miss of a pick. You got a Juju, a Bryant, a Brown, a Sanders. I could go on. I mean, Deontay Johnson, You know, they keep going. I mean, every time, just about every time they draft a receiver, it turns out well. I mean, maybe not well in the future of it. Now, a lot of people are high on Alex McFarland. My concern with the Alex McFarland pick is Connor has proven time and time again. I mentioned this during the mock draft. I mentioned this at another live stream I did, that Connor cannot burden the 16-game load. He's incredible when healthy. The problem is he's not healthy a lot. And if Connor gets hurt yet again, the Steelers proved with this pick that they're fine with Samuels. Thank you. I appreciate that. They're fine with Samuels. They're fine with Benny Snell. And then with McFarland here, they're looking at a change of pace. They're looking at a guy that's like as mentioned in one of the comments, like a fast Willie Parker guy. If that's the guy they're getting, it's a steal of a pick. It's a steal of a pick. My concern, and I mean, we proved it with this draft. The draft is done. It's in the books. Leonard Fournette did not get traded during this draft. So as much as I know many of other Steeler Nation wanted Leonard Fournette to be a pick in this, you know, to trade one of your 4th rounds, trade a 6th round, trade a 7th round, get Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette did not get dealt in this draft. Now, Matt Breida did from San Francisco for a 5. The question that we have to ask ourselves is, if Connor gets hurt, who's carrying the load for the Steelers? Is it this McFarland guy? Because I think he's supposed to be a change of pace. Now, Willie Parker, if that's the comparison, Willie Parker was a starting running back for the Steelers for many years and was fine. You know, there's times where he got destroyed in the backfield. There's times where he busted it out for 80 yards, including Super Bowl 40. If that's the comparison, I'm on board. The concern with me is you didn't bring in necessarily a starting capable running back. McFarland is a additional piece. He's not what Connor... He doesn't bring what Connor brings. Like, he doesn't bring a starter's run style. He's a change of pace run style. But, like I said, if that comparison's Willie Parker, if Willie Parker is the comparison, Anthony McFarland's a good pick. Time will tell as to whether or not that's correct. My concern is Connor gets hurt, they're going to rely on the workhorse will be Benny Snell. But that's correct. Okay, so this draft is exactly what that commenter just said. This draft is about Ben having tall targets in the end zone. This Steelers were 32nd in red zone scoring last year. 32nd. That's the last team in the league. 32nd in red zone scoring last year. They knew they had to get better. They're giving Ben all the big targets he can handle. All the big targets. I mean, Juju's almost 6'2". You got McDonald. You got Ebron. You got Claypool. As long as he can get him the ball, which I hope he can. But yeah, as far as, let's get back to the 4th round pick. As far as McFarland's concerned, to be honest, it's a wide-ranging thing. Either he's going to come in and be dynamite, and my concerns about him being just another back of their sea of backs, because the results have been mixed. I unfortunately was in the car today and listened to Andrew Filipponi, the worst person you can listen to during a draft, because he has his guys and he's miserable about everyone else. And he's like, McFarland's a terrible pick, F, blah, 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 hates him. He wanted Fournette, he wanted Breida, he wanted everyone. I think McFarland could be good. I just want someone that's a capable starter in case Connor gets hurt. If this is that guy, it's a good pick. Now the other pick, Kevin Dotson, guard, Louisiana Lafayette. We have another notable draft pick from Louisiana Lafayette. It was like Taylor. He started for a decade at the corner position. So if Dotson can be that guy, and based on the few highlights that I saw and what they say about him, I think he could be that guy. Now, I don't think he's going to start week 1. I think that's Wisniewski. You brought Wisniewski in. Guy started through the last 3 Super Bowl teams. You brought him in to be the starter. But if Dotson's the future, I think he can be good. I saw they showed a highlight of him. They had sent I can't remember who they were playing, but they had sent a middle linebacker on a blitz, and he hit him, and he flew. The dude flew like he got shot by a cannon. If that's the type of guy you're getting, that dude's got the goods. I'm high on him. I like his. Now, once again, with the draft, it's always what you read. You know, they didn't have pro days. All you can read, and of course, the opinion on him is wide ranging. Some people say he's a career backup. Some people say he has the goods to be a 10-year starter in this league. It depends on who you feel is right. That's what the draft is all about. To me, I think he's got the build. I think he's got the nastiness. I think he could be a solid Steelers offensive lineman. Because keep in mind, Ramon Foster just retired, had a hell of a Steelers career. Guy was undrafted. This dude's in the 4th round. Also, they didn't grab any tackles in this draft. Very important to note, they didn't grab any tackles. That means they're comfortable with Villanueva, and they're comfortable with Filer, and they're comfortable with Banner, and they're comfortable with Chooks, and they think they can be the tackles moving forward. So that's another key thing we learned. One other thing we learned with the Anthony McFarland pick and our number 6 round pick, Antoine Brooks, is they both played at Maryland. Matt Canada was the coach at Maryland. Matt Canada was brought in to be the quarterback's coach. Matt Canada clearly has a lot more input than being just the quarterback's coach, because you're taking back-to-back, not necessarily back-to-back, they got Dotson in the middle, but 2 Maryland players. Maryland was terrible last year. 1-8, I think, was their record. They were horrible last year. So you bring in McFarland, who has ability to splash player. Antoine Brooks, people are high on because they said he's a guy that, you know, is similar to a Mark Barron type. That's your dime backer that you bring in. That he has that hybrid ability that can play the slot, that can play the safety position, that can play, you know, that dime backer position. Now, that's a 6th round pick. Will a 6th round pick be someone you want to rely on out of the gate? Like week 1 comes around, they play whoever the hell they play. Let's say it's Cleveland. They play Cleveland in Cleveland. This has to do with Watt's brother. They run a lot of sub packages. Some of these picks may reflect their plans moving guys. Yeah. So yeah. As far as Derek Watt, I think they brought him in because Rosie Nix had a lot of injury concerns. He was getting injured kind of left and right, and had some inconsistent plays. Now, when he was in there, he was great, but he got injured a couple times last year. I think that hurt the running game. I think there were some line issues that hurt the running game. So I think they want to bring him in. They may want to bring him in as a hybrid guy as well. But with Brooks, when it comes to day 1, do you want that guy starting? Do you want that guy to be your day 1 starter, like in the dime backer position when you're running a nickel defense, which they ran 70% of the time? Do you want that guy in there, or are you bringing someone in from free agency? Now, their last pick of the draft, Carlos Davis, pick 232, defensive tackle. Finally! Long overdue. I have to know, and this is an important question that I don't think I've gotten a straight answer on yet, is that when the Steelers line up in their basic 3-4 set, Tuitt, Hayward, or Hayward Tuitt, whichever you want, who's in the middle? Day 1, week 1, starting 1 o'clock or whatever they play on week 1, whether it's a Monday night, Tuitt, Hayward, who is in the middle of that? Is it going to be the 7th round pick? Probably not. It's going to be Isaiah Buggs? I mean, is that your starter, or is it going to be Chris Wormley? If it's Wormley, I'm fine. I have no concerns. But they said they were going to put Wormley at one of the edge positions. They weren't going to put him interior. That's a concern for me, because then you still didn't really address that position. Addressing it in the 7th round is a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. You took Hargrave in the 3rd. Hargrave proved to be a capable starter. Last year, you took a D lineman in the 6th or the 7th. I think Buggs was the 6th. This year, you took a defensive tackle and a spelling in the 7th. That doesn't make any sense to me unless Wormley, if Wormley's it, Wormley starting day one between Tuitt and Hayward. If that's the case, that's a I wouldn't say a much improved D-line, but that's an NFL capable D-line. If you put, say, Dan McCullers, who I love Dan McCullers' size, I wish he could attribute that size into football play. He can't, unfortunately. We've seen this now. And he showed some of his best football last year. I would not rely on that dude to be a day one starter. That's just me. So I would like to know what your thoughts are on this Pittsburgh Steelers draft. You got Claypool in the second, wide receiver. Alex Highsmith, edge rusher, third round. Fourth round, Anthony McFarland. Fourth round, Kevin Dotson, guard. Sixth round, Antoine Brooks, safety. Seventh round, defensive tackle Carlos Davis. Now, that's the question, the big question that was just asked. Do you see the Steelers making the playoffs? That is a concern. I feel the AFC North got way better in this draft. Way better. The Ravens clearly looked at all the Steelers mock draft and went, take those guys. They took Dobbins. They got that defensive tackle that Steelers were looking at in the third round. They got a lot of guys. So the Ravens got better. The Bengals got a franchise quarterback in Burrow. Got T. Higgins. They have 4 capable receivers now and Joe Mixon. They got better. The Browns sadly got better. Grant Delpit was the guy I took in my mock draft that they ended up getting in the second round. So all the AFC North teams got better. With a healthy Ben, this team's better. This team's way better. Yeah, so with a healthy Ben, with a full year of Mika, with the players that they added, the Steelers are better. Can the Steelers be a playoff team this year? Yes. I feel that they could. They need to get their best out of Ben. If they get their best out of Ben, they have a defense that I feel is championship level. Championship level defense. I feel they got it. If you get a healthy Tuitt for 16 games. Remember, Steelers were flashing on defense last year and winning games with Duck Hodges and a shell of Rudolph as your quarterback. You get Ben in there, and not to mention, you did it without Tuitt. Tuitt wasn't there. Tuitt only played a few games last year. You get 16 games out of Tuitt. Now, that's the other concern. Are you going to get 16 games out of Tuitt? Are you going to get 16 games out of Connor? If you're telling me you can get that level of play out of those guys, the Steelers can definitely make the playoffs. Are they a Super Bowl contending team? That's up in the air. It depends on how far those that raise the play take and the other people they're competing with in the league. Because keep in mind, all these teams got better. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year from the AFC, and they addressed their biggest need in the first round with a running back. So not only did our division get better, but the whole AFC, with the exception of the Patriots, who didn't take a quarterback. That's the other thing. There's teams that, at least the Steelers, kind of stuck to their needs. They had a need for guard. They had a need for running back. They had a need for edge rusher, wide receiver, defensive tackle, safety. That's literally what they took in their picks. Teams like Green Bay took quarterback first round. They're telling Rodgers he's had it over the last few years, and then they didn't take a wide receiver when they need wide receiver help. The Patriots didn't take a quarterback when they know they need quarterback help. So I appreciate the Steelers sticking with their needs and picking solid guys. We won't know until they're on their field whether these guys are the goods or the not so goods. I hope they're good. I really do. But the NFL draft's a mixed bag. So as far as, and I briefly mentioned this previously, but if Ben gets hurt, we're in the same position we were last year, unfortunately. Championship caliber defense. Have we seen everything we can see out of Rudolph? Is Duck Hodges going to be on this team next year? That's another question. They seem to be high on Paxton Lynch. Paxton Lynch was on the practice squad last year, was a former first-round guy, but obviously was terrible in Denver. Was not very good. Ended up being, I think he was a backup for Seattle for half a minute. But are these the guys you want to rely on after a 38-year-old quarterback who's coming off elbow surgery? Is, who's to say whether he's the Ben he used to be? I'll be honest, I don't know. That's a scary thing for me. I want Ben to win another ring. He's shown the goods that he can win another ring. If arguably he should have 3 rings already, at least 3, maybe 4, because there's times there were some middling issues. They could have won more than 2, but they can win one more if these players shake out. Because the defense is right. The offense needs to be right. They have an aging offensive line. They have some new blood. But I need to know what your thoughts are. Do you feel the Pittsburgh Steelers addressed all the needs? Did they get all the guys that you wanted them to get? So I'd been surprised they didn't go QB at all, and you're right. I mean, well, in the sense that they feel that they're fine with Rudolph, and they're fine with whoever the third string quarterback would be. As a Steeler fan, I don't know if I'm necessarily fine with that. I don't think I am. I'm nervous about it, to be honest. But if you're getting Ben for all 16, if you're getting a capable Ben for all 16 games of the season, I'm fine with it. But only time will tell that story. So if Ben retires, you see us taking Trevor Lawrence in the first round next year if he falls to us. Well, based on how it shakes out now, and there's a whole college football season to go with Trevor Lawrence will probably go first overall. So the only scenario of the Steelers ever taking Trevor Lawrence is a sad one for this year, because that means we tanked hard. I don't think our defense will let us be in a position where we're that bad, to be honest. I think they're that good. I think that defense at its core will win. If the offense was terrible, like it was last year for the most part, if the offense was terrible, that defense can still win 6 to 8 games, I would say, on its own, because they basically did. Think about the games that Micah Fitzpatrick single-handedly won for the Steelers. Miami, the Colts, the Rams. There's 3 games right there. 3 games just by his input affected the game, and we ultimately won. I mean, on close games. Some of those games were very close. So I don't think we'd be in a position to draft Lawrence, because I think Lawrence goes first overall. And unless you're putting some mighty trade package together to get him, I don't see him being a Steeler quarterback. I wish he would be, as most things would be. Obviously, there's life after Ben. The future of the future of Ben Roethlisberger is, the time is ticking. It's not like a Brady situation where Brady's now, with Tampa Bay of all people, and, he's 40, what's he, 43 now? Something like that? And that's a question as well. And that's, I had addressed that previously, is that what version of Ben are you getting? There is the Ben Roethlisberger that's 38, that's coming off a major elbow surgery, that has to have his elbow be rebuilt. Say he feels better than he has in years. As a Steeler fan, you love that. Because, even when Ben is playing optimum, he's not always like, he's kind of limping out there. He's always, I went to a few training camps and, have field access. Now, there's some videos on my channel you can check out, but where Ben's on the field, and then right after, I don't know if I captured this on any of the videos, but you can see him, from me to you, as you're watching this, there's Ben. And then after practice, he's ace bandaging, ice packs around himself, around both knees, around his shoulder, around his other shoulder, on his elbow, on this elbow, on that, around his neck. He has more ice packs and ace bandages around him. Like, he's literally everything in his body. If you're telling me he's as healthy as he's felt in years because he hasn't taken another year's worth of punishment because he got injured in week 2, I think it was week 2. Yeah, week 2 against the Seahawks. And he didn't play this whole year. A year of rest. No off-season workouts. Comes back healthier than ever. If you're getting a rejuvenated Ben, you're thrilled as a Steeler fan. But are you? So that's the issue we're running into. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. I appreciate everybody watching and commenting and checking out. But I don't want to... I get a little long-winded on these type of things. We're at 35 minutes now. Any idea what type of shape Ben's in? Supposedly good shape. Now, I know certain people see pictures and certain people see videos of him and he looks like a fat-faced, like chubby and stuff like that. But apparently, he's in very good shape. They showed that video of him tossing the ball a little bit. Obviously nowhere near an NFL capable level, but just tossing it around the gym looks to be in pretty good shape. I haven't seen him personally. The hope being is that the world clears up and I'll be able to go to training camp and see him personally. Yes. So, as you just mentioned, Ben is saying he's throwing without pain for the first time in years. If that's a result of the elbow surgery, that he's throwing without pain, you love that as a Steeler fan. You kill for that as a Steeler fan. So, yeah, I hope, let's put it this way, I hope you're getting prime Ben. That's a big hope and a big ask. I am a wishful thinking person by nature. So I feel that it's something that if you feel that this guy can still throw the ball, and I feel that he can, hopefully that's what you're getting out of him. But time will tell. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Wait, let me see. How soon should Steeler fans let go of Ben? Like it's time to move on to their teams. Green Bay, New York Giants have moved on. Okay. So, here's the thing about Ben. With the Giants and Eli, Eli was showing signs of subpar play. Now look, Eli, first ballot Hall of Famer, forever in my cool book for beating the Patriots twice in a Super Bowl. I love Eli. But Eli's shown that play was going downhill. It was going downhill fast. He just wasn't the same player he was, and made the solid reason to retire. He could have hung on. Jacksonville would have probably taken him, but he made the solid choice to retire. Phillip Rivers was not great. He was not great. So Phillip Rivers had a bad season really bad season out of the Chargers last year. So, thank you. My children miss me. I'm going to have to cut this down. But, yes, as far as that, the Chargers had to get rid of him. They felt that he's not good. Now, Ben has still played high-quality football. Other than last year where he got hurt, Ben has been good. Now, were there a lot of issues where, there were some playoffs missed and there were some other situations where, he could have played better? Yes. But he has not shown the same breakdown that Phillip Rivers had, that Eli had. So that's where I feel you stick on with Ben. And I think knowing the Steelers, they're very loyal. They'll ride him until the wheels come off. The question is, hopefully it won't be this year. And hopefully this elbow injury wasn't a sign to come. But I've been blabbering on for 40 minutes now. Thank you, everybody who watched and commented. I greatly appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts of this Pittsburgh Steelers draft, whether you feel these players are good, are the ones you like more than others. Leave a comment down below. Thank you very much for commenting. Yes, she's yeah, I'm really interested to go check that out. I appreciate you watching my other videos on this channel. Check out some other videos on this channel. I usually watch the third day of the draft from Pittsburgh Steelers Fan Blitz. Unfortunately, didn't happen this year. I really love that. So check out those videos if you miss Steelers football. I have a bunch of other Steelers football stuff on there. But comment, let me know your pick on the draft. And if you watched for 40 minutes now, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Right, Rivers, Eli, not including Eli's 2 rings. Eli's rings, I mean, yeah, like Rivers, Eli, both slip and play a bit. The hope is that Ben won't be the same. But thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, let me know your favorite pick in this draft, and let me know why. If you watched all 40 minutes, comment you watched all 40 minutes. I greatly appreciate it. Let's do more of these if you go want to watch them better. But like, subscribe, watch the Steelers videos, comment on them. I'm happy to comment back. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was fun. We'll do it again sometime. Take care. Hopefully, maybe Steelers training camp. We'll see how it goes. Bye, guys. Yes, sir. I appreciate it.